I wake up every day feeling like I'm trying to keep my head above water, but the waves keep rising. The alarm rings, and I already know what's waiting for me. The bills. The student loans. The rent that's somehow higher this month, even though I don't have a single extra cent in my account. I roll out of bed, eyes half closed, wishing I could just stay under the covers and pretend none of it exists. But it does. And it's getting louder every day. It's strange how, as a kid, you're taught that if you just work hard enough, things will fall into place. That somehow, it's all supposed to make sense if you put in the effort. But no one warned me about the math. No one told me that wages would stagnate while the world around me was accelerating, growing more expensive, more competitive, more unforgiving. And now, at 25, I'm watching my dreams slip through my fingers like sand. It's hard not to feel like I'm failing. Everyone around me seems to be moving forward, getting new jobs, buying houses, going on vacations. But here I am, juggling 3 part-time gigs just to pay rent and still barely making it. I watch as prices go up on everything, groceries, gas, utilities, and I have to make impossible choices. Do I skip dinner tonight to save a few bucks? Do I put off buying new shoes until my current ones are falling apart? Or do I spend the last of my paycheck just to make sure my phone bill is paid, so I don't lose the one lifeline to the outside world I have? The worst part is the pressure. It's the constant sense of being stuck, trapped in a system that doesn't care about you. Every month feels like running a race I can't win, but there's no way to stop running. Every penny is accounted for, and even then, I'm still in the red. My bank account is like a sieve, leaking cash no matter how tightly I try to hold on. I've learned to put things on credit, telling myself I'll pay it back someday, but that day never seems to come. Sometimes, when I lie in bed at night, I wonder if this is it. Is this all there is? Am I going to be 40 years old, still struggling with the same bills and the same anxiety? I see people my age getting promotions, buying cars, starting families, and I wonder what went wrong for me. Was it the degree I got that doesn't seem to matter? Was it choosing a job I love over a job that pays better? Was it just bad luck? I try to talk to friends about it, but even they don't get it. They see me struggling, but they can't fully understand what it's like to be in this grind. They'll tell me to just stick with it or it'll get better eventually. But they don't know what it's like to count out the change in your wallet every week, praying you'll have enough for a bus ride. They don't know what it's like to wake up every morning and immediately feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, before you've even had your first cup of coffee. At work, I'm trying to hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, things will change. That one of my side hustles will turn into something more stable. But with every setback, it feels more and more like a pipe dream. My friends tell me I'm just paying my dues and that things will get better, but when? It feels like the harder I work, the further I fall behind. I've had to let go of so many things. Travel. I used to dream of backpacking through Europe, seeing new places, meeting new people, and experiencing a world beyond my tiny apartment. But now, every time I think about it, I just see the numbers. Airfare, lodging, food, things I could never afford on the salary I make. Even the idea of a weekend getaway seems like an impossibility. My friends post pictures of their vacations, and all I can do is smile through my envy, because I know that's a luxury I can't afford. And it's not just the big dreams that feel distant. It's the small ones, too. A nice dinner out. A new outfit. A day off where I don't have to worry about how to pay for it all. I find myself canceling plans with friends because I don't have enough money to go out. Or I'll suggest something cheap, like a walk in the park, because that's all I can manage. I don't want to be the friend who's always saying no, but it's hard not to feel like I'm the one being left behind. There's a shame in it, too. Not just because I can't keep up with my peers, but because I'm constantly comparing myself to them. The pressure to be doing better eats away at me. When I scroll through Instagram or Facebook, it feels like everyone else has figured it out. They've got the job, the house, the car, the life. And then there's me, barely able to cover rent while still trying to make a dent in my student loans. I try to tell myself that it's okay. that the world doesn't move at the same pace for everyone. But the truth is, it's hard to be kind to myself when it feels like the world is constantly reminding me that I'm not enough. It's hard to keep telling myself that it'll get better when the bills keep growing, the rent keeps rising, and the paycheck stays the same. Sometimes, I wonder if I'm just stuck in a system that doesn't leave room for people like me. I'm not asking for luxury or comfort, I just want to feel like I can breathe. I just want to have enough to live without the constant anxiety gnawing at my stomach. But every day, it feels like I'm caught in a loop, a never-ending cycle where the expenses grow faster than my income, and all I can do is try to keep up. Still, I hold on to the hope that one day, something will give. That all this hard work will pay off, even if it takes longer than I imagined. Maybe I'll finally get that promotion. Maybe one of my side gigs will turn into something real. Maybe, just maybe, the weight of it all won't feel so heavy one day. But for now, I get up every day, ready to face the grind again. I'll keep counting the change, making the choices, and doing my best to stay afloat. Because what else can I do? I'm not giving up, not yet. Maybe someday, I'll look back on this time and be able to say that it was the struggle that taught me to keep going, even when everything seemed impossible. For now, I keep moving forward, one step at a time. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. It's hard to pinpoint the exact moment everything started feeling impossible. Maybe it was the day I realized I couldn't pay all my bills, or maybe it was the third month in a row of feeling like I was barely keeping my head above water. Either way, the weight of it is undeniable. Every single day, I wake up to an endless list of things I need to do, things I need to pay for, and dreams I need to shelve, at least for now. I feel trapped, like I'm in a race I can't win, and every step I take only digs me in deeper. I'm 24, and I'm supposed to be figuring things out, right? That's what everyone says. You're still young, you have time to build your future. But time seems to be slipping away faster than I can catch it. I work a full-time job, and it barely covers rent and groceries. I've got student loans that feel like they're getting bigger instead of smaller, and credit card payments that never seem to go down. I remember when I was younger, I had these big dreams about what my life would be like by now. I thought I'd be saving up for a house, maybe traveling a little, feeling secure in my job. But now? I'm just hoping I can get through the next month without having to borrow money or dip into my savings, what little savings I have left. It's not that I don't work hard. It's not that I'm lazy or don't want more. But it's like no matter how much I push, the goalposts just keep moving. I see the price of groceries go up every week, the rent hike notifications that keep coming like clockwork, and it feels like my paycheck disappears before it even hits my bank account. I'm always working, but I'm never getting ahead. And I'm scared. Scared that I'm never going to get ahead. That the financial burden will keep getting worse. That maybe this is just how life is supposed to be, just a constant struggle. Even my friends don't get it. They say things like, "Oh, you'll be fine. It's just a phase, or you just need to budget better," like it's that simple. But it's not. It's not about budgeting more. It's about wages that haven't kept up with the cost of living. It's about the fact that I'm not just working to survive, I'm working to maintain my survival. Everything feels like it's moving faster than I can keep up. I used to be able to get a coffee once a week as a treat. Now, even that feels like a luxury I can't afford. I used to imagine buying clothes that fit me well, not just whatever I can find on sale or at the thrift store. I used to dream of moving into a nicer apartment, but now I'd be happy just to stay in the one I have without worrying about whether I can pay next month's rent. It's funny, sometimes I think back to when I was in high school, and I thought I had it all figured out. I thought if I just worked hard enough, everything would fall into place. But now I can see how naive I was. It's like the harder I work, the less I seem to have. I've had to cancel plans with friends because I couldn't afford to go out, and I've started saying no to invitations just to avoid the guilt of not being able to contribute or participate. The constant juggling of priorities is exhausting, and it wears me down in ways I can't always explain. My mental health takes a hit too, because every day feels like a race against time and money. I'm constantly stressed about how I'm going to pay for everything. It's draining. I wake up tired, I go to bed tired, and there's this constant hum of anxiety that never stops. But somehow, I keep going. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I don't have a choice. Maybe it's because deep down, I still believe that things can get better. I cling to that belief because if I didn't, I don't think I could function. I tell myself that one day, things will be different, that there will be a turning point where I'll finally get ahead. I don't even know what that turning point looks like, but it's there, in the back of my mind, whispering that if I just keep going, it'll happen eventually. The hardest part is the sense of helplessness. When you work hard, but it feels like you're running in place, and it gets to the point where you start questioning if the system is even built for you. The way housing costs keep rising, wages barely keep pace, and basic necessities become luxuries, it doesn't feel like a fair game anymore. And I know I'm not the only one. I talk to my friends, and they're going through the same thing, only in different ways. Some of them are working 2 jobs, others are trying to make a living as freelancers, constantly hustling, trying to make ends meet. We all want something better, something that feels real and achievable, but it's so far out of reach that we don't even know what direction to go anymore. I've had to postpone so many dreams. There was a time I wanted to travel. See the world, even if just a little bit. I had this fantasy of backpacking through Europe, experiencing new cultures, getting lost in the beauty of different places. But that dream now feels like something I'll never get to touch. Even if I saved for years, the cost of it feels too high, especially when my rent is already eating up most of my paycheck. I used to dream of a career I was passionate about, something that would give me a sense of purpose, but right now, I feel stuck. I'm grateful for my job, it pays the bills, and I need it, but I can't help but wonder if I'm slowly sinking into a routine that doesn't really lead anywhere. But even through all the pressure, I try to keep a little hope alive. Maybe that's the only thing I have left to hold on to. I still dream, even if those dreams feel like distant, hazy ideas. Maybe one day, I'll be able to take a vacation, even if it's just a long weekend away. Maybe I'll be able to rent a place that actually feels like home, not just a temporary fix. Maybe my financial situation will stabilize, and I'll finally have the breathing room to start thinking about my future with less fear in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, I'll get to live a life where money doesn't feel like it's constantly standing between me and everything I want. I don't know how long I can keep doing this, living on the edge of stress and survival. But I know I have to keep trying. For me. For my future. Even if the road ahead feels impossible, maybe one day I'll find a way to make it out. Until then, I'll keep going. Because what else is there to do? I've been trying to hold it all together for so long that I've lost track of when things started to feel like a constant grind. When I was younger, I thought adulthood would be so different. I thought by now I'd have my own place, be on my way to a career I love, and be able to manage my finances without feeling like I'm drowning. Instead, I'm 26, and I spend most of my days just trying to survive. I graduated college 4 years ago with a degree in sociology, a field I was passionate about. I had all these big dreams about making a difference, finding meaningful work, and building a future I could be proud of. But reality hit hard. The job market was bleak. After a few months of job hunting, I landed a position as an administrative assistant in a small company. It wasn't what I imagined, but it paid the bills. Just barely. At first, I was optimistic. I thought it was a stepping stone, a way to get my foot in the door and work my way up. But as the months went by, the weight of the financial burden started to hit harder. I realized that I was barely making ends meet, and everything seemed to be getting more expensive. Rent was the biggest obstacle. I share an apartment with 2 other roommates, but even that is stretching my budget. Between utilities, rent, insurance, and the endless list of small bills that seem to pop up, I never feel like I have any breathing room. It feels like no matter how hard I work, it's never enough. And it's not just about the job, it's about the whole system. I see prices rising, from food to transportation, and I feel like I'm trapped in this cycle where expenses grow faster than my income. Every time I get paid, I'm already counting the bills I have to pay, the credit card payments, the savings I'm not putting away. I don't even have a chance to enjoy the money I make because it's already spoken for before it even hits my bank account. It's emotionally exhausting. Sometimes I feel like I'm just running in circles, trying to keep up. I want to go out with friends, but the thought of spending money I don't have makes me anxious. I want to travel, explore the world, do things that bring joy and excitement, but those dreams feel out of reach. The more I think about it, the more I realize how much I've had to give up. I used to think that by now I'd have a solid savings account, that I'd be planning for the future. But saving has felt like a luxury I can't afford. I want to buy a house someday, but every time I look at the price of homes in my area, my heart sinks. Even the idea of a small down payment feels impossible. I've even postponed buying a car because I can't fathom taking on another large monthly payment. Instead, I make do with public transportation, which is fine most of the time, but it's just another reminder of the limits I face. I can't help but feel like I'm falling behind. Some of my friends from college seem to be doing so much better. They're buying houses, taking vacations, getting engaged. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to figure out how I'm going to make it through the next month without relying on credit cards or borrowing from family. It's frustrating to see how easy it is for others, and I wonder why things feel so much harder for me. Some days, it feels like no matter how hard I work or how much I sacrifice, I'm always stuck. I can't help but feel that I'm being punished for trying to follow a path that's meaningful to me. The career I ended up in isn't what I imagined, but it's all I could find. And the pay? It's barely enough to cover the basics. I tell myself that it's temporary, that I'm just waiting for my break, but with each passing month, the pressure only builds. There are days when I don't even know how to cope. I try to distract myself with small things, like binge-watching shows or spending time with friends when I can afford it. But even those moments of relief feel fleeting. I wake up each day with the same anxiety: can I afford my lunch today? Should I skip the coffee to make it through the week? It's a constant balancing act, and I feel like I'm losing. I've tried to manage it, to take control of my finances, but every time I make progress, something else comes up. A medical bill I wasn't expecting. Car repairs. A sudden increase in rent. I've even had to dip into my savings a couple of times just to get by. It feels like every time I think I'm catching up, the system pushes me back. And the worst part is, I don't even know how to break free. I feel like I'm failing. I'm doing everything I can, working long hours, cutting back on my expenses, but it never seems like enough. The dreams I had for myself, being financially stable, traveling, living a life without constant stress about money, feel so distant. The future that seemed so full of possibilities is now a blur of uncertainty. But despite all this, I try to remind myself that I'm not alone. Everyone my age seems to be struggling with the same thing, paying off student loans, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to carve out a future in an economy that doesn't seem to care. I know I'm not the only one stuck in this cycle, but that doesn't make it feel any less isolating. Some days, I think about quitting. I think about saying screw it and just walking away from the career I've been trying to build. Maybe it would be easier to just take any job that pays more, even if it's not something I love. But then I remind myself that I can't give up. I don't want to. I want to keep going, even though it's hard. Even though I'm scared that I'll never be able to build the life I dreamed of. I don't have the answers, and I don't know how this will all turn out. But for now, I keep pushing forward. I keep taking one step at a time, doing what I can to get by, hoping that one day things will feel easier. I don't know when that day will come, but I have to believe it's out there somewhere. For now, I'll keep surviving, even though it feels like I'm barely hanging on. I wake up every morning with the same weight pressing down on my chest. It's not the usual morning grogginess or the dread of another long day at work. No, this is different. It's a constant, gnawing anxiety about money, how far my paycheck will stretch this time, how much I'll need to borrow to get through the month, and how quickly the costs of everything around me seem to rise. The world doesn't slow down, and neither do my bills. It feels like the harder I try to get ahead, the further I fall behind. I'm 27 years old, and I can't help but feel like I'm already running out of time. I remember when I was younger, dreaming about what my 20s would be like, traveling, starting a career I love, maybe even buying a house or having a family one day. But those dreams feel more like fantasies now, just far-off concepts I rarely entertain anymore. The reality is much simpler and, in many ways, much harsher. It's not like I'm not working hard enough. I've got a full-time job at a marketing firm, one I don't particularly love, but one that pays the bills. The pay, though, barely keeps up with the cost of living. Every paycheck feels like a band-aid on a wound that's too big to heal. Rent takes a huge chunk, there's no way around it. Living in the city is expensive, and though my apartment isn't anything fancy, it's the only place I can afford that doesn't feel like a total downgrade. If I want to stay close to work, that's what I get. The rent keeps climbing every year, and every month I stretch my budget further, moving money from one account to another, praying it'll work. And then there are the other costs, food, gas, utilities, and that looming cloud of student loans. They're always there, following me like an uninvited guest at every meal. I didn't even think much about them when I was signing up for school, it felt like just something I had to do to get the career I wanted. But now, I realize how naive I was. The loans are so big, it's hard to see a way out. Even if I scrape together every extra dollar, it barely makes a dent. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever be able to stop running on this hamster wheel. Will I still be paying off student loans in my 40s? Maybe 50s? It feels that way. I often find myself scrolling through my phone, looking at friends on social media, seeing them go on vacations or buy new things. I try not to let it get to me, but I can't help it. It's hard to watch everyone else move forward while I'm stuck in place. It's not that I want what they have, I don't want to live beyond my means, but I can't help but think about the things I used to dream about doing. The trip to Europe I always wanted to take with my best friend. The idea of starting a small business or going back to school for something I really love. But those dreams have slipped further and further away, buried beneath the pile of bills, responsibilities, and a constant fear that I'm one emergency away from total financial ruin. I've learned to cope in little ways. I pack my lunch for work instead of buying it, even though I'd love to grab something from the cafe across the street. I don't go out with friends as much, sometimes I cancel at the last minute because I just can't afford it. I've gotten really good at saying no to things. There's always something, right? A birthday party, a concert, a happy hour. I just can't. I tell myself it's temporary, that I'm making sacrifices now so I can have more later, but sometimes I wonder if that later will ever come. And then there's the emotional toll. It's exhausting to carry around the constant worry. When I don't have enough money to make ends meet, I feel like I'm failing, not just at keeping up, but at life itself. The weight of it presses on my chest every time I lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, knowing I won't be able to sleep until the next payday. I tell myself it'll be okay, but deep down, I'm not so sure anymore. There's a gnawing fear that I'm stuck in a system that's designed for me to fail. The cost of living keeps going up, but wages aren't keeping pace. I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this struggle, that so many people are facing the same kind of pressure. But that doesn't make it easier. I don't talk about it much either. It's like there's this unspoken rule that everyone around me is supposed to have it together, that we're all just one good decision away from figuring things out. No one tells you how hard it is, how much it weighs on you, how it feels like you're just treading water and praying for a lifeline that never comes. Sometimes I think about the future, but when I do, it's hard not to feel hopeless. I want to believe in a better tomorrow, but with every rent increase, every price hike at the grocery store, I start to doubt it. Can I even afford to live in this world? And what happens when I can't keep up anymore? I try to remind myself that this isn't forever. That this pressure won't last. But sometimes, it feels like it's never going to end. I wonder if this is just how it's going to be, forever. The grind, the anxiety, the feeling of always being behind. I wonder if everyone else feels this way, too, like they're trapped in a system that's not built for them to succeed. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about what my life could look like if money weren't such a barrier. I've always dreamed of owning a house, but right now, it feels so out of reach. It seems like everyone is in a race to secure property, but I don't even know where to start. I don't have the credit score, the savings, or the financial freedom to make it happen. But there's this deep desire to build something stable, to have a space to call my own, where I'm not constantly worrying about rent going up next month. Sometimes I imagine a life where I don't feel like I'm running in circles, just trying to stay afloat. But those are just dreams. The reality is that I have to deal with today. I have to keep pushing through, even when it feels like I'm losing ground. And I have to hope that somehow, things will get better, that my hard work will eventually pay off. Maybe I'll get a raise, maybe my expenses will stabilize, maybe I'll find a way to finally break out of this cycle. But for now, I'll keep going, one day at a time, just hoping that tomorrow won't feel as heavy as today. I wake up to the sound of my alarm blaring, the same sound that's been my cue to face the day for months now. It's not a sound that energizes me anymore, more like a reminder that another day of the grind has begun, another day of trying to make ends meet in a world that doesn't seem to care if I succeed. I roll over, squinting at my phone. The time is 7 a.m., and I'm already behind. I've been living paycheck to paycheck for as long as I can remember. It's a strange feeling, not quite desperation, but not too far off either. I've gotten used to it, like the weariness that settles into your bones after a long winter. My rent is due in a week. My credit card bill is still higher than I can comfortably manage, and my student loans keep growing. The numbers don't add up, and I'm always doing mental gymnastics, trying to stretch my limited resources just a little bit further. I drag myself out of bed and make coffee. Coffee is a small luxury I can afford. I've heard people say things like, cut out the daily coffee, and you'll save so much, but honestly? It's not about saving money on coffee. It's about holding on to a shred of normalcy, of comfort. Without it, the day feels unbearable. There's a moment in the quiet of the morning when I imagine a different life. One where I don't have to worry about bills, about the next paycheck, about whether or not I'll have enough money to get through the week. Maybe I'd travel, see the world, or even just live somewhere that feels less like a financial treadmill. But those dreams? They're not for now. They're for later, whenever later might come. I've been working at my job for 2 years now. It's a steady gig, nothing spectacular, but it pays the bills, most of them, anyway. It's not the career I envisioned when I graduated college, but I've learned to accept that things don't always work out as planned. I've told myself, this is temporary, but temporary feels like it's dragging on. Sometimes, I wonder if I'll ever get out of this cycle, if I'll ever feel like I'm not just treading water. I've learned not to talk about money too much. It's uncomfortable, like trying to explain a hole in your pocket to someone who's never had a hole in theirs. People like to think I have it together, that I'm on track to achieve something meaningful. And maybe I am, but it's hard to see the path forward when everything feels like a series of obstacles that only get bigger with time. At work, I sit in a small cubicle, staring at a screen for hours. The tasks are simple, repetitive, and I've gotten good at them. But there's this heaviness that settles over me as the day wears on. I can feel the weight of the financial pressure pulling at my thoughts, distracting me from my work. I catch myself doing the mental math, calculating what I'll need to get by next month, what I can afford to buy, and what I'll have to sacrifice. My phone buzzes, another notification from the bank, reminding me of an upcoming payment. I sigh, almost numbed by the constant reminder that money is always on my mind, even when I don't want it to be. It feels like my entire life is on pause because I can't break free from this economic chokehold. I've been doing the math in my head constantly. If I don't go out this weekend, I can save a little more. If I cook instead of ordering delivery, that's another few bucks in the bank. If I don't buy that new jacket I've been eyeing, maybe I'll have enough to pay off part of my credit card balance. But even with all these little sacrifices, the numbers still don't work out. I'm still behind. I'm still scrambling. At night, when I'm lying in bed, it's hard to shut off my brain. The pressure of it all weighs on me in a way that feels suffocating, like the walls are closing in. I try not to dwell on it too much, but I can't help it. It's there, in the back of my mind, even when I'm trying to fall asleep. I've started to feel embarrassed by how little progress I've made. It's not like I'm lazy or irresponsible. I've worked hard, and I've tried to make the best of things. But the cost of living keeps rising faster than my wages, and it feels like I'm stuck in a race where the finish line keeps moving further away. It's not just me, though. I see my friends and family struggling too. They're in the same boat, paddling just as hard, but none of us seem to be getting anywhere. I used to think that if I just worked hard enough, if I stayed disciplined and kept saving, I could eventually break free. But now, I'm starting to realize that no matter how hard I work, the system is stacked against me. Rent prices skyrocket, groceries cost more, and wages stagnate. The world doesn't care about my effort. It feels like I'm constantly running a race that I can't win, and all I can do is keep running, hoping that one day the finish line will finally appear. There are days when I feel like I'm losing hope. I wonder if I'll ever get to a place where I can breathe again, where I can finally enjoy the fruits of my labor without the constant fear of bills piling up. I try to stay positive, to remind myself that things will get better, that this is just a phase. But the longer I wait, the harder it is to believe that. I used to have dreams, big ones. I wanted to travel, start a business, live somewhere I could actually relax. But now, those dreams feel so distant, like stars in the sky that I'll never reach. The reality is that every decision I make now is about survival. Do I put a little extra toward my student loans, or do I buy groceries for the week? Do I pay off the credit card balance, or do I finally get that new pair of shoes I've been eyeing? It feels like I'm always choosing between two things that should never be in competition with each other. I'm doing my best to hold on to hope, to remind myself that this won't be forever. But it's hard. It's so hard. I keep telling myself that one day things will change, that the weight on my shoulders will lighten, that I'll be able to breathe without feeling the constant pressure of money pushing me down. But right now, it feels impossible. I look out the window, seeing people walking by, living their lives. I wonder what their world is like. Do they feel the same pressure I do? Or are they, like I wish I could be, free from the constant worry of finances? Maybe one day I'll know. Maybe one day, I'll finally be able to look back on this chapter and say, I made it through. Until then, I just have to keep going. Keep waking up. Keep pushing through the day. Because right now, that's all I can do. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. It feels like I'm stuck in a loop. Every day, I wake up with a sense of unease that clings to me like a shadow, no matter how bright the morning is. The world outside is full of possibility, but all I see are the walls that seem to grow higher around me, squeezing tighter with every passing day. I never thought I'd be here. I graduated from college with dreams bigger than the room I shared with my roommate in that cramped apartment. I remember sitting at my desk, staring at the degrees hanging on the wall and thinking I was invincible. It felt like all the hard work I'd put in, all those sleepless nights and caffeine-fueled mornings, had to amount to something. I was going to make it. I was going to be that success story, someone who overcame the odds. But no one told me how quickly the world can change, or how expensive it would be to simply exist. The rent alone is suffocating. Every month it goes up. I'm lucky to live in a modest one-bedroom now, but it's a far cry from the cozy, sunlit space I imagined I'd have by this point in my life. I remember when I first moved in, how proud I felt to finally have a place that was just mine. Now, I only feel the pressure of it. The landlord raised the rent by $150 last year, and I barely scraped by to pay it. And it's not just rent. Gas, groceries, utilities, it's like the price tags on everything are taunting me. My income hasn't budged. There's always something unexpected, some unforeseen expense that adds to the weight. I used to have the luxury of considering my future. But now, every dollar I earn gets spent before I can even think about what to do with it. I still have dreams, of course, bigger ones than I even know how to express. But how do you chase dreams when you're constantly running just to keep your head above water? I've stopped looking at houses I could never afford. I don't even consider vacations anymore, those trips I once swore I'd take when I was successful. Those distant plans seem like something from a past life, a time when my world felt full of options. Now, it's as if every door is closing before I even get the chance to push it open. Sometimes I lie awake at night, my mind racing through the bills. What can I cut this month? What do I really need? I used to think I could skip a dinner out or take public transport to save some cash, but even those small changes feel insignificant now. The margin between what I make and what I need to live just keeps growing. It feels like a game of catch-up I'll never win. I try not to talk too much about it. I'm not sure who would even understand. Everyone around me seems to be managing, pushing forward, moving upward. And I feel stuck. Every time I scroll through social media, someone else is sharing a milestone, a new job, a fancy vacation, a shiny new car. I tell myself not to compare, that everyone's journey is different. But it's hard not to. I thought I'd be further along by now. I thought I'd have something to show for all this struggle, some reward for enduring all those difficult years. Instead, I have mounting student loan debt and a paycheck that barely stretches far enough to cover the essentials. I should be grateful, I know. I'm not homeless. I'm not starving. But that doesn't change the fact that every decision I make is about survival. And sometimes, survival feels exhausting. There's this constant pressure to be grateful for what I have, but some days it feels like I'm drowning in gratitude while I'm still sinking. I try to remind myself that I'm lucky. So many people have it worse. I know I'm one of the fortunate ones to even have a steady job in this economy. But even on the best days, I feel the weight of not having enough. The thing is, I don't even know what enough looks like anymore. Every time I think I'm getting close to a balance, the ground shifts. I cope, of course. We all do. I've become an expert at small victories. If I can make it to the end of the month without missing a payment, that feels like winning. If I can treat myself to a cup of coffee or a cheap meal out with friends, that's my luxury, my reward for enduring another cycle of grinding. But even those little comforts come with their own brand of guilt. Like I'm cheating the system somehow. Like if I really cared about my financial situation, I'd be more disciplined. I'd cut every corner, cancel every subscription, stop going out entirely. But I'm not sure that would make the difference I need. The truth is, it's not about being careless with my money. It's about a system that's rigged to make us feel like we're always just a step away from disaster. Some days I feel paralyzed. I can't make a decision without considering the cost. Is it worth getting a new jacket for the winter or should I just layer my old one? Can I afford that therapy session I've been meaning to book or should I just tough it out? I feel like my every move is calculated in a way it shouldn't have to be. And then there's the dreams. They've shifted, faded, become more distant as the months drag on. I used to imagine myself writing books, traveling the world, having a home that felt like mine, not just a place I sleep. But it's hard to imagine a future when the present feels so uncertain. There are things I've wanted to do, learn a new skill, start a business, go back to school, but I put them off again and again. They're always just a little too far out of reach, always overshadowed by the immediate need to pay rent or buy groceries. But what does that mean for me, in the long run? If I keep postponing those dreams, will I wake up one day and realize I've missed my chance? I try not to think about that, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to wonder when this is all going to pay off, when I'll get the break I feel like I'm due. I know I'm not alone in this. There are so many of us, millions, probably, feeling the same weight, making the same choices. We keep telling ourselves it'll get better, that we just need to hold on a little longer. I don't know if that's true. But I keep going anyway, because what else is there to do? Keep your head down. Keep working. Keep hoping for something to change, even when it feels like the world is designed to hold you back. So I wake up each day and try to make it work, to keep my head above water. I remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. Some days, it's enough. Other days, I wonder if I'll ever feel free. But for now, I just keep going. I hope that one day, I'll look back and see that this struggle was worth it. That it wasn't all for nothing. That I got where I needed to go, even if it took longer than I expected. That's all I can do, really. Keep going. It's a little past 6 a.m. when my alarm goes off, and I hit snooze for the third time. I'm exhausted, but I can't sleep anymore. My mind is already running through the list of things I need to do today, mostly revolving around money, how much I have, how much I owe, how I'm going to make it to the next paycheck. The bills I can't put off anymore, the credit card I have to make a minimum payment on. I roll out of bed, feeling the familiar weight of anxiety settle in my chest. I'm 25, and this is my life right now. I'm working full-time as a barista at a local coffee shop. It's not the dream I had for myself, but it's what I could get after college. I graduated with a degree in marketing, and I had big plans, ambitious ones. I was going to land a great job, make enough to be independent, travel, take care of my family. The reality, though, is that the bills are piling up, and my paycheck doesn't seem to stretch far enough. I can't get ahead. The rent is due again, and my roommate, who's been the one to pay the majority of the rent, is moving out next month. I'll have to figure out how to cover the entire rent myself. It's going to be tight. I've been talking to my mom about it, trying to figure out how I'll manage, but every time I bring it up, I feel like I'm failing her. I hate asking for help, but it's starting to feel like I'm not going to have a choice. It's hard not to compare myself to my friends. Some of them seem to have it all figured out. They have real jobs and offices, apartments they're proud of, and the occasional weekend getaway. They're all so confident. I've asked a couple of them for advice, but they never really seem to get it. They don't understand what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. They don't know how it feels to decide between eating out with friends and putting gas in the car. When I was in college, I used to dream about having my own place, having a career that I loved, being able to go on vacations, to not have to think twice about what I was spending. But now, it feels like I'm stuck in a loop. The money never quite matches up with the cost of living. My rent keeps increasing, gas is more expensive than ever, and I can't keep up with student loan payments. I thought it would get better after graduation, but instead, it feels like I'm sinking into an even deeper hole. There are days when I wonder how it happened. I did everything I was supposed to do. I worked hard in school, I applied for jobs, I took the best offer I could get. But somehow, my wages haven't kept up with inflation. I've been at the coffee shop for almost 2 years, and I still don't feel like I'm moving forward. I applied to a few marketing jobs, but the interviews never went anywhere. It's frustrating, because I know I'm qualified. I know I have potential. But the opportunities just aren't there. It's hard to keep the hope alive when every day feels like a struggle. I try to remind myself that this is temporary, that eventually things will get better. But deep down, I wonder if it ever will. How much longer will I have to work at a job that doesn't give me any of the things I thought I would have by now? It's exhausting to constantly be worried about money. Every decision is affected by it. I don't have the luxury of buying things I want. I avoid going to stores because I know I can't afford it. I postponed getting new clothes for months, even though my shoes are starting to fall apart. I can't remember the last time I went out for a drink with friends because I feel guilty about spending the money. I've had to cancel plans I've been looking forward to. Last month, a friend invited me on a trip to the beach, but I had to turn it down. It would have been a great escape, but the cost of the trip would have thrown me off for weeks. I hate the way it feels to have to say no, to watch life pass by as I sit here in my tiny apartment, counting pennies. I try to cope with the pressure in small ways. I've started meal prepping on Sundays so I don't waste money on takeout. I walk or take the bus to work instead of driving to save on gas. But even with all of that, it never feels like enough. There's always something. Always something that needs to be paid, and it's always a little more than what I've got. The worst part is the anxiety that comes with it. It's always there, lurking in the back of my mind. I feel like I'm constantly running from it, but it always catches up with me. Some nights I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'll ever get out of this cycle. Wondering if there's any light at the end of the tunnel. I've tried to talk to my parents about it, but it's hard for them to understand, too. They've always been supportive, but they've never had to deal with the same financial pressures I'm facing. They've had stable jobs for years, and the cost of living where they are isn't nearly as high. It's hard to explain to them what it's like to live in a city where rent prices have doubled in the last 5 years and the only jobs available barely pay minimum wage. Sometimes I feel like I'm running out of time. I see people my age getting married, buying houses, and starting families. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to keep up with the basics. I don't want to be stuck in this place forever, but every day it feels harder to imagine a future where things are any different. I wish I could say that I have some great plan for getting out of this, but the truth is, I don't. I just keep going. Every day is a little bit of survival. I try not to think about the things I've had to give up, the dreams I've put on hold. The travel I've wanted to do. The stability I thought I'd have by now. But sometimes, it's hard not to. I tell myself that this will get better. That one day, I'll be in a better place, with a career I'm passionate about, financial stability, and the freedom to live life without constantly looking at my bank account. But right now, I'm just taking it day by day, doing the best I can. It's all I can do. I wake up in the mornings, not to the sound of an alarm, but to the ever-present hum of anxiety. It starts low, almost like a murmur, then grows as the day unfolds. It's always there, a weight on my chest that I can't shake. The world outside seems to spin faster, but here I am, still stuck in this quiet loop of financial pressure, where every decision I make feels like it's being measured by how much it will cost. I've been out of college for a couple of years now. When I walked across that stage and grabbed my diploma, I had visions. They weren't grand or extravagant, but they felt like promises. A job I could be proud of. A place of my own. The kind of life where I could buy what I needed without a second thought, and even treat myself once in a while. But the reality of adult life is nothing like I imagined. No one talks about how it feels to be suffocated by bills before you've even had a chance to enjoy the freedom of independence. The quiet hopefulness of graduation has been replaced by the panic of living paycheck to paycheck. I sit at my desk, scrolling through the numbers in my bank account. I've learned to ignore the sinking feeling in my stomach whenever I see the balance dip lower than I expected. The bills come in, one after another, like clockwork. Rent, utilities, credit card minimums, student loan repayments, the phone bill, and the list goes on. Every month, I feel like I'm juggling flaming torches, hoping I don't drop one. Sometimes, I think I'm doing okay. I make a budget, stick to it, and avoid spending on anything unnecessary. But then something happens, a medical bill, a flat tire, an unexpected fee, and everything falls apart. I scramble to shift money around, take on an extra shift, or use a credit card to cover the difference. It's always a temporary fix. A band-aid over a wound that's slowly bleeding out. I've become adept at convincing myself that it's okay. I tell myself that everyone is struggling, that it's just the way things are. I tell myself that I'll get through it. And maybe I will. But it doesn't stop the exhaustion that lingers, the sense of being trapped in a system that rewards those with resources and punishes those without. Every time I swipe my card at the grocery store, I cringe. I can feel my heart speed up as I watch the total climb. I've learned the art of the quick scan, the glancing at the prices to decide what's essential and what's a luxury. I've become a master of sacrifice. I don't buy fresh fruit anymore. I don't get to splurge on a coffee out. I make do with what I have and stretch it as far as it can go. Some days, I wonder if it's even worth trying to get ahead. The rent keeps rising, but my salary stays the same. The economy feels like a giant hand, constantly pushing me down, while those above me seem to glide forward with ease. The hardest part is when people talk about their plans for the future. They talk about saving for vacations, investing in their homes, buying new clothes, going out for nice dinners. I want to join in, to say that I have dreams too, but it feels silly. What can I dream about when I'm just trying to make it through the week? I remember the dreams I had before all of this. I wanted to travel, to explore new places, to take a few months off and just breathe. I wanted to start a hobby, maybe painting or photography, something to remind myself that I'm more than my bank account. But those dreams feel so far away now. They're like stars I used to reach for, but now I've realized they're too far out of my grasp. It's hard not to feel bitter about it. I've tried to be responsible. I've worked hard to get here. But every time I think I'm making progress, I get knocked back down. I know I'm not alone in this. Everyone my age seems to be stuck in the same boat, paddling as fast as they can but never moving forward. My friends and I talk about it, but the conversations always end in silence. We've all accepted it in our own way. There's no point in complaining about things that are beyond our control. The economy is the way it is, and there's not much we can do about it. And yet, there's this nagging thought that maybe I could have done more. Maybe I should have chosen a different path. Maybe if I had taken more risks, pushed harder, worked more hours, I'd be in a better position. But then I remind myself that it's not that simple. You can work yourself to the bone and still not get ahead. I've seen it happen with people I know, people who put in the hours, sacrificed their time, their health, their well-being, only to find that the rewards weren't as sweet as they imagined. I don't know what the future holds. Sometimes, it's hard to imagine a way out of this mess. I don't know how long I can keep living like this, stretched thin, constantly on edge. But I try to hold on to the little things that remind me that I'm still moving forward, even if it's just an inch at a time. A smile from a stranger. A cup of tea in the morning, warm and comforting. A quiet evening where I can just breathe. These moments, small as they are, keep me grounded. They're the only things that make me feel like I'm more than the sum of my debt and expenses. I try to remind myself that it won't always be like this. That someday, maybe, I'll find a way out. Maybe I'll get a better job or find some financial freedom. Maybe I'll look back on this time and see it as the thing that made me stronger. But for now, I just have to keep going. Keep fighting. Keep holding on to whatever scraps of hope I can find. There's a part of me that still believes in the future, even when it feels like the walls are closing in. Maybe it's naive, but I can't help it. I can't let go of the idea that things can get better. Because if I do, then what am I left with? What's the point of any of this? So I keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. I'll find a way through. I have to. Hey, friends! If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. There's a strange kind of exhaustion that comes from knowing every decision you make is affected by money. It's not just a passing worry, it's a constant weight, hanging over everything I do, every conversation I have, every hope I try to hold on to. Sometimes, I wonder if I've forgotten what it feels like to breathe without this sense of impending doom lurking just behind me. I wake up every morning to the sound of my alarm, but it doesn't feel like an alarm. It feels like a countdown. A countdown to another day where I'll be reminded of how little I have in the bank, how far I am from where I want to be. I drag myself out of bed, already tired, already thinking about the bills I can't pay this month and the ones I'll have to juggle next month. It's also exhausting, this endless game of catch-up, where no matter how hard I try, I'm always a step behind. I'm in my mid-20s now, but I feel older than that. People my age are supposed to be figuring out their lives, chasing big dreams, making bold choices. At least, that's what I thought when I was younger. But the reality of being a young adult in this economic environment is so different. It's not about freedom and self-discovery anymore, it's about surviving. It's hard to put into words how the pressure of money eats at you day in and day out. I've always been a planner, someone who likes to set goals and follow through. But no matter how carefully I plan, I can't outrun inflation. Every time I get a little ahead, I get hit with another unexpected expense: car repairs, medical bills, an increase in rent, or even something as simple as groceries costing more than they did last month. It's like the world is constantly reminding me that my income will never keep up with what it costs to live. I try to take control of what I can, cutting back on unnecessary expenses, meal prepping, avoiding going out with friends, but it doesn't always feel like enough. There are days when it feels like I'm drowning in this cycle, and the harder I swim, the deeper I go. I've stopped buying clothes, stopped going to the movies, stopped even considering a vacation. I tell myself it's just temporary, that I'll get there eventually. But how much longer can eventually keep being a thing I hold on to? It's not just the money, though. It's the constant emotional toll. There's this tightness in my chest, this nagging feeling that I'm not good enough, that I'm somehow failing because I can't seem to make the numbers add up. I talk to my friends, and they're struggling, too. We all are. We're all drowning in the same storm, and no one really has an answer. No one is giving us the tools to climb out of it. The thing is, it's not just about survival anymore. It's about feeling trapped in a system that isn't built for people like me, people who want to do the right thing, who want to work hard and get ahead, but are constantly faced with obstacles that make that impossible. It's a system that's stacked against us, and the higher we climb, the more the system pulls us back down. I've spent so much of my time trying to rationalize it, telling myself that I'll figure it out, that it's just a phase. But it doesn't feel like a phase. It feels like a reality I'm stuck in, like there's no escape, no way out. I think about what the future holds, and all I can see is more of the same. More bills, more stress, more waiting for a break that never seems to come. I used to dream about what my life would look like by this age. I thought I'd be traveling, maybe starting a family, definitely doing something that felt meaningful. But now, I wonder if I'll ever get there. If I'll ever be able to take a deep breath and say, I've made it. I've had to postpone so many of my dreams. The things I wanted to do, the places I wanted to go, the people I wanted to be. They seem so far out of reach now. I can barely imagine a time when I won't have to check my bank account every few hours, when I won't feel the weight of looming bills pressing down on me like an invisible hand. I try to stay positive, but it's hard when all the evidence around me points to a future where my hopes are dashed before they ever even get a chance to take flight. Sometimes I think about the way things used to feel, when I had hope, when I thought I was just a few steps away from something big. But now, it feels like I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop, always bracing myself for the next thing that will make it harder to move forward. I'm constantly looking for ways to make a little more money, to stretch my paycheck just a little bit further. But no matter how hard I try, I'm always scraping by. The worst part is that I feel like I'm falling behind compared to everyone else. I see people around me buying houses, taking vacations, making plans for the future, and I wonder how they're doing it. What am I missing? What's the secret? I've worked so hard, but it doesn't seem to be enough. It's as though I'm on a treadmill, running as fast as I can but getting nowhere. I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this, that so many others are facing the same struggles. But it doesn't always help. It doesn't make me feel less trapped. I want to be proud of how hard I'm working, but it feels like I'm just spinning my wheels. I want to feel secure, like I'm building something for the future, but instead, I feel like I'm barely holding on. I know I'm not the only one going through this, and that thought should bring me comfort, but it doesn't. It just reinforces the reality of it all, that this isn't just a personal problem, it's a systemic one. This isn't just about me not trying hard enough or being unlucky. This is about the way the world is built, about the way the economy works in such a way that so many of us are stuck in a cycle we can't break. I still try to dream, though. I try to hold on to something beyond the numbers in my bank account. I think about the things I want for myself: peace, security, the ability to take a breath and feel like I've made it. But the more I dream, the more I feel like I'm setting myself up for disappointment. How do you keep dreaming when the very environment you live in makes it feel impossible to get ahead? I've been thinking a lot lately about what success even means. I used to think it was about financial stability, buying a house, building a career that meant something. But now, success feels like something different. It feels like being able to pay my bills on time, to not feel my heart race when I check my bank account. Success feels like peace, even if it's just for a moment. Maybe, at the end of the day, all I really want is a sense of enough. Enough money to get by, enough stability to not worry about every little thing, and enough time to breathe and remember who I am outside of the financial struggle. But I can't even remember what that feels like anymore. I just keep going, hoping that one day, I'll be able to say that I've finally made it. But I'm not sure how much longer I can keep waiting for that to happen. There are days when it feels like I'm running a race that I can never win. I wake up to the sound of my alarm blaring, its shrill reminder of another day ahead, and I already feel behind. It's not that I'm lazy, I work. I hustle. But no matter how much I do, it always feels like I'm a step behind the game. Like the universe handed me a list of things to do, but it never said what the price would be for checking them off. Each month, when the bills come in, I feel the same way. I'm drowning, and my air is made of the smallest, most fragile bubbles. The rent is due. The student loans are due. I need gas for the car. Then there's the unexpected medical bills, or car repairs that come out of nowhere. Every time I think I'm making progress, something else pops up. The amount I earn doesn't even come close to matching the cost of living. And it's not like I'm splurging, there's no room for that. But I can't shake the feeling that I'm being slowly crushed under a weight that gets heavier every year. I can see the changes all around me. Prices have gone up everywhere. A gallon of milk costs more than it did a year ago. The rent is rising again, and so is the price of gas. Groceries? I do my best to keep the list short, but it's getting harder to make it stretch. I used to be able to buy a few treats for myself, maybe a nice lunch out with friends or a new shirt when I needed one. But now? The idea of spending more than necessary makes me feel like I'm playing a dangerous game with my financial survival. I try to be smart about it. I clip coupons, compare prices online, choose cheaper alternatives. I walk instead of driving when I can, keep the thermostat low, and avoid going out too much. But in the back of my mind, it's always there, the sinking feeling that no matter what I do, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I used to dream about the future. I used to plan for what I wanted to do with my life. But now, I don't know when I'll be able to take a vacation, let alone buy a house or start a family. Sometimes it feels like I've already missed the boat. The worst part is the emotional toll it takes. It's not just the stress of paying the bills. It's the constant undercurrent of anxiety. I can't make long-term plans without wondering how I'll afford them. Every decision, no matter how small, becomes another calculation. Do I buy the bus ticket or should I save that money for groceries? Should I take on more hours at work, even though I'm exhausted, just to make sure I can cover the basics? I should be able to save, right? But there's never enough at the end of the month. My bank account barely fluctuates, it just sits there, stagnant and slowly fading away. Every time I open the app, it's a reminder of how far I am from where I thought I'd be. I hate feeling like I'm stuck. I hate that I can't seem to get ahead, no matter how hard I try. And I hate that no one seems to understand what it's like. People tell me to be patient, that things will get better, that I'll figure it out. But that doesn't change the fact that right now, I'm struggling. The future feels blurry, like a place I can't quite reach, no matter how much I stretch. I sometimes wonder if I'm doing something wrong, if I'm just not working hard enough or making the right choices. Maybe I should have gone to a different school or chosen a different career path. Maybe I should have started saving earlier, or found a better job. But then I think about the reality of it all, the rising cost of everything, the stagnant wages, and the fear of something bad happening that I can't recover from. People my age are facing the same thing. We're all trying to figure out how to get by in a world where it feels like the rules are constantly shifting, and the system is rigged to make us stay at the bottom. There are moments when I get so overwhelmed that I start to doubt everything. Am I good enough? Am I capable of pulling myself out of this? Sometimes I can't help but think about the future I dreamed of, the one where I had a job I loved, where I traveled, where I didn't worry about running out of money. I imagined having the freedom to make choices based on what I wanted, not just what I could afford. But now, those dreams feel distant, like they belong to someone else. But I keep going. What else can I do? I wake up every day and try again. I keep working. I keep saving where I can. I try to make small moments of joy for myself. I remind myself that I'm not alone in this, even though it feels that way sometimes. Everyone I know is dealing with the same pressures. The difference is that we all hide it behind smiles, behind social media posts where we look like we've got everything together. But inside, we're all just trying to survive. It's hard to admit that to myself, let alone to anyone else. Some days, I try to hold on to the hope that things will get better. Maybe I'll get a raise or find a better paying job. Maybe the cost of living will stabilize, though I don't see that happening anytime soon. I've even started setting goals, small ones. Maybe I'll put a little extra aside every month, or maybe I'll start investing in my future more seriously, even if it's just a small amount. I dream of the day when I can take a break, when I can breathe without this constant weight on my shoulders. But that day feels far off, and in the meantime, I just keep moving forward. I think about my younger self sometimes, the one who thought everything would just work out. The one who thought that if you worked hard enough, you'd be fine. But now, I see the system for what it really is. Working hard isn't enough. You can pour everything you have into something, and still, it might not be enough to get by. I don't know if that's something I'll ever fully accept. But I'm trying to make peace with it. The hardest part of all is trying to stay hopeful. To keep my heart in a place where dreams aren't just fantasies but real things I can reach for, even if they're distant. I know that right now, it's a struggle. I know that there's no easy answer to the financial pressures I'm facing. But I also know that I'm still here. That's something, right? That I keep showing up, even when it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. Maybe that's all I can do for now, just keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep dreaming, even when the future looks uncertain. Because in the end, isn't that what really matters? Just not giving up, no matter how heavy the weight gets. I used to think life would feel different by now. Not easier, necessarily, but more possible. I'm 27, and sometimes I feel like I'm aging in dog years. I live paycheck to paycheck in a city where rent eats half my income, groceries are basically a luxury tiered system, and the idea of saving feels like a cruel joke. Every month, the math doesn't add up, and every day, I try to pretend I'm not drowning. I work 2 jobs, one full-time at a tech support center, another part-time at a bookstore 3 evenings a week. Between both, I barely clear $3,200 a month after taxes. My rent alone is $1,700 for a studio that feels more like a converted storage closet. Utilities, phone, transit, and student loan payments chew up the rest. I budget down to the cent, yet still run out before the end of the month. The smallest unexpected expense, a broken phone screen, a last-minute doctor's visit, can send me spiraling. I'm tired all the time. Tired in my bones, in my soul. It's not just the hours, it's the constant, gnawing pressure. Everything I do is calculated: how many steps to take to save on subway fare, which grocery store has the cheapest canned beans, how long I can go without replacing my torn sneakers. I don't think people realize how much mental energy poverty steals. It's like always running a background process in your mind, doing risk assessments every time you think about buying coffee or saying yes to dinner with friends. Socially, I've drifted. I say no more than I say yes, and eventually, people stop asking. I've told myself that I'm just busy, that everyone's tired, but the truth is I can't afford to show up. Not when a night out could mean going hungry later. When you live like this, it isolates you. There's shame in it. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because it feels like you should have done something better by now. I went to college. I did what they told me to do. I studied hard, took internships, graduated with honors. And for what? To owe $42,000 in federal loans and end up in a job that barely pays enough to live? Sometimes I think about what I imagined for myself, becoming a teacher, maybe working abroad, having a small place with shelves full of books and plants in the windowsill. I wanted to write, maybe even publish someday. But I haven't written anything in months. When survival is your full-time job, creativity becomes collateral damage. I've had to delay everything. Relationships. Travel. Buying anything new that's not essential. I used to dream about going to Portugal. I saw this photo once, of clotheslines swaying in the sun above cobbled alleys, and I thought, that's the kind of place where I'll find myself. Now I dream smaller. A weekend with no panic about money. A fridge that stays full. A day off that doesn't feel like a penalty. Sometimes, I fantasize about escaping the system entirely, quitting both jobs, going off-grid, living out of a van. But I know I wouldn't make it far. Not without healthcare. Not with student debt waiting like a shadow at my back. The system wasn't built to let people like me off the hook. It was built to keep us tethered, through rent, loans, fear. Expenses keep rising, but wages don't. Everyone around me is just trying to keep up. Most of us are one emergency away from disaster. Coping feels like a constant act of improvisation. I ration my mental health days and cry in the shower. I make lists for the illusion of control. I go to the library just to feel rich, surrounded by books I don't have to buy. I scroll through apartment listings in cheaper towns, but the jobs there pay even less. I follow budgeting TikToks like they're religion, though sometimes they make me feel worse. Like I'm failing at being broke efficiently. Still, I try to find light where I can. My neighbor's dog always wags its tail when it sees me. There's a street musician near the train who plays sad songs like lullabies. And once a week, I allow myself a pastry from the cafe near my work. It costs $3.50, and I always regret it financially, but never emotionally. In a world where everything feels restricted, that small indulgence is a reminder I'm still a person, not just a cog. I think about the future often, but not in the way I used to. It used to be this grand, sprawling road with destinations and goals. Now it's more like a foggy hallway. I just hope to keep walking without hitting a wall. I don't dream of wealth anymore. I dream of stability. A month without dread. A job that respects my time. A home I don't fear losing. I want to breathe without calculating the cost. I don't know what comes next. Maybe I'll find a way out, a better job, a side hustle that takes off, a random opportunity. Maybe I'll burn out and need to start over again. But I do know this, I'm not alone. So many of us are stuck in this loop, doing everything right and still falling behind. It doesn't mean we're lazy or broken. It means the system is. I still believe things can change. That's what keeps me going, even on the worst days. Not hope, exactly, but the stubborn belief that I deserve more than this, that we all do. And maybe one day, I'll write my book. Maybe it'll be about all of this, about what it means to survive in a world that keeps raising the price of existing. I used to think that if you worked hard and did all the right things, you'd be okay. That's what I was told growing up. Study hard, get a degree, land a decent job. The rest would take care of itself. But here I am at 27, living in a shared apartment with two other people I barely know, working 2 jobs, and still barely scraping by. I don't feel okay. Most days I feel like I'm sprinting just to stay in the same place. I graduated with a degree in marketing 4 years ago. I remember feeling hopeful back then, nervous, but hopeful. I had this picture in my head of stability, a modest 1-bedroom apartment, maybe a used car, enough money to buy groceries without checking my bank balance every time. I didn't dream big. I just wanted something sustainable. But reality didn't come close to matching that picture. My first job out of college paid $38,000 a year. At the time, I thought, okay, it's not great, but it's a start. But when I actually did the math, after taxes, rent, student loans, health insurance, gas, groceries, there wasn't much left. And that was before inflation hit everything like a wrecking ball. Now, even the cheap brand of cereal costs $5. My rent went up $200 last year, and I cried the day I got the notice because I honestly didn't know where I'd find that extra money. It's not just the big things either, it's the constant nickel-and-diming that eats you alive. A surprise copay at the doctor. A broken phone screen. The pair of shoes I've been patching up for 6 months because I can't justify replacing them. What gets to me most is how every decision I make has to go through the lens of money. Friends want to go out for dinner? I Google the menu in advance and pretend I'm not hungry. My coworker brings in coffee for the team, and I feel a mix of gratitude and shame, grateful I don't have to spend $5, ashamed that I couldn't if I wanted to. I walk everywhere I can because the train is $2.75 each way, and that adds up. I've become so used to saying no that even when I could say yes, I hesitate. Scarcity rewires your brain like that. Emotionally, it's exhausting. I carry this constant background hum of stress, like a low-frequency alarm that never turns off. I don't sleep well. My shoulders always feel tight. There are days when I catch myself dissociating in front of my computer at work, staring at a spreadsheet like it's written in a foreign language. I'm not lazy. I'm tired. There's a difference. I have dreams. I used to want to go back to school and get a master's in UX design. I thought maybe I'd start my own business one day, help small companies with branding, tell meaningful stories. But now, those dreams feel like expensive hobbies I can't afford. I put them on the shelf, like a coat you love but only wear in your imagination. I'm not saying I've given up. I'm saying I've had to reorder my life around survival. Coping looks like small acts of rebellion. I still make art sometimes, even if it's just doodles on napkins or sketching in a beat-up notebook. I go to the park and people watch. I listen to podcasts about people living the lives I wish I could afford. I cook when I can, even if it's just rice and beans. There's something grounding about making a meal with your own hands. I journal, a lot. Not because I think it will fix anything, but because it's a way to feel heard, even if it's just by the page. Sometimes I write letters to myself in the future, imagining a version of me who made it out, who isn't so tired all the time. It helps. And I talk to people, when I can. I've learned I'm not alone in this. So many of us, friends from college, coworkers, even my older cousin who has a good job, are all swimming against the same current. Everyone's juggling side hustles, freelancing gigs, part-time this and that. Some are driving Uber after work. One friend sells handmade candles on Etsy just to cover rent. We laugh about it sometimes, but the truth is, it's not funny. It's survival. The hardest part is how invisible it all feels. From the outside, we look like we're managing. I've learned to dress neatly, smile when people ask how I'm doing, deflect the deeper questions. But inside, I feel like I'm drowning quietly in a room full of people pretending not to hear me. I'm not sure what the future holds. Some days I'm optimistic. I think maybe I'll land a higher paying job, or maybe rent will stabilize, or maybe universal healthcare will finally become a thing in this country. Other days, I just hope I can make it to next Friday without something else breaking or a bill getting missed. I don't need a lot. I just want to feel safe. I want to know that if I work hard, it will actually get me somewhere. That the ladder I'm climbing isn't leaning against a wall that keeps getting higher. So I keep going. Because what else can I do? I wake up, take a deep breath, lace up my patched-up shoes, and start the day. I show up. I budget. I hope. I survive. And somewhere, under all that noise, I still dream. It's a weird thing, waking up already tired, not just in your body, but in your mind, in your chest, where you carry the weight of every unpaid bill and every maybe next month. I'm 27, and it feels like I've been running a race where the finish line keeps getting moved farther away, just out of reach, no matter how fast or how long I run. I work 2 jobs, one full-time at a marketing firm that pays barely enough to cover rent, and another part-time gig doing food delivery in the evenings. Most days, I wake up at 6:30 a.m., drag myself through a quick breakfast, instant oatmeal or a piece of toast, whatever's cheapest, and I'm on the bus by 7:15. I used to drive, but gas prices went up again last year, and my car needed repairs I couldn't afford. So I sold it. Now I spend almost 2 hours a day commuting, packed into a bus with a dozen other tired souls pretending not to notice each other. At the office, I sit in front of a screen, writing social media posts for companies I could never afford to buy from. I smile when my boss walks by. I say great weekend when people ask, even if it wasn't. No one wants to hear about your stress when they're barely managing their own. There's this quiet competition of who's holding it together best. Spoiler, we're all just pretending. Rent is $1,575 for a 1-bedroom I share with my old college roommate. We turned the living room into a bedroom with a curtain and a mattress. It's not ideal, but it's cheaper than living alone, and cheaper still than going back home. My mom already works 2 cleaning jobs. My dad's disability checks barely keep the lights on. They helped me through college with everything they had, and now I can't bring myself to add to their burden by moving back. Groceries are a puzzle I solve weekly, trying to stretch $50 into 7 days' worth of meals. Rice, beans, eggs, pasta. I haven't bought fresh fruit in weeks, too expensive. When I do splurge, it's on something small, like a chocolate bar. I let it melt in my mouth slowly, like it's some kind of rebellion against the grind. The worst part isn't even the tiredness. It's the guilt. Guilt for not saving enough. Guilt for wanting more. Guilt for being jealous of friends who go on vacations or buy concert tickets without a second thought. And then there's the shame. Shame that I can't seem to get it together when I did everything I was supposed to, went to college, got a degree, got a job. The rules changed halfway through, and no one told us. Inflation makes it all feel like a trap. My rent goes up every year. Groceries cost more. Utilities, phone bill, everything creeps higher. But my pay? That stays the same. Or goes up by 2% if I'm lucky. It's like I'm stuck on a treadmill that keeps speeding up while I'm expected to keep pace barefoot. I used to dream about traveling, Japan, Italy, Iceland. I'd watch YouTube travel videos late at night, just to feel something other than dread. I had a vision of myself writing in cafes abroad, working remotely, feeling light and free. Now I'm just trying to avoid overdrafting my bank account. I postponed grad school indefinitely. Can't afford the debt. Can't even afford the application fees right now. Dating's hard too. How do you explain that you can't afford to split a $60 dinner? That you're already doing mental math in your head during the appetizer, wondering what's left in your checking account? I cancel plans last minute sometimes, pretending I'm sick, because I can't afford to pretend I'm not broke. Still, I have small rituals that keep me going. I keep a notebook by my bed where I write 3 things I'm grateful for every night. Some days it's just I had enough food, or the sky was pink at sunset. I call my little sister once a week. She's a freshman in college, and I tell her to keep going, even though I want to scream that it's all a scam. But maybe her path will be different. There's a coffee shop near my office I walk by on my lunch break. I never go in, just stand outside sometimes, watching people sip lattes and laugh. It's a $5 drink I can't justify, but I let myself imagine what it'd feel like to be one of them. To sit without counting coins. To breathe without the weight. Some nights, after my second job, I lay in bed and imagine a life where I'm not constantly choosing which necessity to cut back on. I imagine owning a tiny home with a yard. I imagine waking up and deciding to rest, just because I need to, not because I'm sick. I imagine what it's like to feel safe. People say money isn't everything, but those are always the people who have enough of it. When you don't have it, money is air. It's dignity. It's choice. And right now, it feels like I'm suffocating a little more every day. But I'm still here. I keep showing up. That has to count for something. I wake up before my alarm most days now, not because I'm rested, but because my brain refuses to let me rest. It's usually around 5:17 a.m. when I roll over and check the time, knowing I have about 43 more minutes before the piercing tone of my phone tells me it's time to start another loop. I don't even hit snooze anymore. I just lie there, staring at the ceiling, running numbers in my head like I'm some human calculator. Rent, groceries, gas, the phone bill, my student loans, they all rotate in my mind like a cruel lottery wheel that never stops spinning. I'm 27. When I was a kid, 27 felt like an age where you'd have things figured out. You'd have a real job, your own place, maybe even a dog and a reliable car. I have an apartment I share with 2 other people I found on a roommate app, a car that only starts if I jiggle the key the right way, and a job that pays me just enough to survive, but not enough to breathe. I work full-time at a customer service center for a tech company. The job is tolerable in the way that a dull headache is tolerable. You can still function, but it's always there, nagging. My pay is $18.75 an hour. After taxes, insurance, and retirement contributions, the bare minimum I can afford, I take home just under $2 for $100 a month. Rent is $9.50 for my third of a 3-bedroom, which doesn't include utilities or Wi-Fi. Add groceries, my car insurance, gas, and the minimum payments on my credit card and student loans, and I'm left with maybe $100 each month. If nothing goes wrong. But something always goes wrong. 2 weeks ago, my car battery died. I cried in the AutoZone parking lot while I handed over $189 I didn't really have. I paid it with a credit card, again. Another dent in a balance that's already swollen past $4000. I used to think credit cards were just for emergencies. These days, they're more like lifeboats with holes in them. I can't remember the last time I went out without mentally calculating every dollar before I left the house. Even grabbing a drink with friends is a negotiation. 1 drink, I tell myself, and maybe split an appetizer. I nurse that 1 drink all night, acting like I'm just savoring it when really I'm stretching it because I know my account balance can't handle another round. And it's not like I'm irresponsible. That's what people don't get. I don't buy new clothes unless I absolutely need to. I cook most of my meals at home. I canceled Netflix and switched to a cheaper phone plan. But it's like I'm running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, and I can't get off. Sometimes, late at night, I scroll through job postings, looking for a way out. But they all require more experience than I have, or they pay the same, or less, than what I'm making now. I have a degree in communications from a mid-tier state university. Back when I was 18, it felt like a smart move. I believed the people who said a degree was a ticket to stability. Now I'm just paying $236 a month toward loans I'll probably still be chipping away at in my 40s. What hurts most is not being able to plan for the future. My dreams have started to feel like stories I once told myself before reality sobered me up. I wanted to travel. Not even extravagantly, just to see the Grand Canyon or eat pasta in Italy. I wanted to go back to school, maybe study counseling. I wanted to live alone, in a small studio with a plant in the window and shelves lined with books I actually had time to read. Now I dream of simpler things, an emergency fund, a week without unexpected expenses, a day where I don't feel afraid of checking my bank balance. I'd love to have a pet, but I can't afford the vet bills or even the extra cost of food. I postponed everything that felt like life so I can just afford survival. Emotionally, it's exhausting. The constant tension of keeping everything from collapsing weighs on me in ways I can't always explain. It's not just anxiety, it's this hollow ache that sits in my chest. Some days I feel numb. Other days I feel angry, at the system, at my past self, at the way society makes it seem like struggling is a personal failure instead of a structural problem. My parents try to be supportive, but they don't really understand. They came up in a different world, one where college was cheaper, and a single income could support a family. I don't blame them, but their advice often feels out of touch. Just keep working hard, they say. As if hard work is the variable that's missing. I'm working hard. I'm exhausted. And still, I'm not moving forward. I cope in small ways. I write in a journal most nights, even if it's just a few lines. I listen to music on my commute, something that makes me feel like I still have a piece of myself untouched by bills and budgeting. I talk to my friends who are in the same boat. We joke about our struggles, but there's comfort in knowing we're not alone. We're all just trying to keep our heads above water. There are good days, too. Days when the sun hits my bedroom window just right, or when I make a meal that feels like care, even if it's just pasta with a decent sauce. There's something oddly resilient about finding joy in tiny victories. Like when I finally paid off a $300 medical bill that had been hanging over my head for months. I felt like I'd climbed Everest. I'm not giving up. I can't afford to. But I wish I could live instead of just survive. I wish the future felt like something I was moving toward, not something I'm constantly having to delay. I want to believe there's more than this loop, more than just counting pennies and praying nothing breaks. Maybe someday I'll have that little studio with the plant in the window. Maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll even see the Grand Canyon. But for now, I'm here, waking up at 5:17 a.m., doing math in my head, and trying not to fall apart. I used to think that if I just worked hard enough, I'd be okay. That's what we're all told, right? Go to school, get a degree, get a job. The path is supposed to lead somewhere stable. Somewhere safe. But lately, it feels more like a treadmill someone keeps turning up faster and faster while I'm still in socks. I'm 27. I have a college degree. I've got 2 part-time jobs and a freelance gig on the side. None of them offer benefits. None of them give me consistent hours. And together, they barely cover rent, utilities, groceries, my student loan payment, and the medical bills I've been trying to ignore. I haven't been to the dentist in 3 years. I floss now like it's a religion, hoping that will be enough. I skip prescriptions. I ration out therapy sessions like they're treats I haven't earned. Every day feels like a balancing act. Grocery shopping is a series of quiet calculations. If I get the off-brand oatmeal, I can swing eggs next week. Maybe. I buy produce on clearance, almost expired. I've memorized the discount days at all the local stores. I walk everywhere, because gas is $6 a gallon and the car I still owe money on needs new tires. I pray it doesn't break down. There's no room in the budget for an emergency. There never has been. I live with a roommate in a 1-bedroom apartment that we've divided with a curtain. He sleeps in the living room, which is more just a hallway with a couch. We try not to be in the apartment at the same time too often, it's easier that way. Less awkwardness, less pretending we don't resent how broke we are. We never talk about the fact that we both have degrees and still can't afford a place to ourselves. We just nod at each other with this quiet solidarity, like, yeah, me too. The hardest part isn't even the lack of money. It's the constant pressure. The way every day feels like a game of survival. It's the shame of not being able to go out with friends, of turning down dinners because $25 is half my grocery budget for the week. It's watching people online take trips, upgrade their apartments, buy new clothes, and wondering what I did wrong. I know social media is a highlight reel, but even knowing that doesn't stop the comparisons. My mom says I should have gone into nursing or tech. She means well, but it stings. I majored in English because I love stories. I believed in the idea that I could do something meaningful. I wanted to write, to maybe teach. Now I write website copy for small businesses and grading services for underpaid adjuncts. I keep trying to tell myself it still counts. That it's still something. But on the bad days, it feels like I sold out and still didn't get the payout. I dream about things that used to feel simple, having my own place with a door that locks, a kitchen with space to cook, a cat. I dream about savings, like actual money in a bank that doesn't vanish the second it hits my account. I dream about sleep without anxiety. I dream about going to the doctor without panicking about the bill. I dream about taking a weekend off without guilt, without falling behind on bills. The economy is brutal. Everything costs more than it did a year ago: food, rent, healthcare, and wages haven't moved an inch. I've applied for better jobs. Dozens. Most don't reply. The ones that do ghost after the second interview. Sometimes I wonder if I'm broken. If I missed some secret code everyone else got handed. I try not to spiral. I remind myself I'm doing my best. But some days it feels like I'm treading water in a rising sea. There's this part of me that still hopes, though. It's quieter now, buried under years of disappointments, but it's there. I still write poetry late at night, just for me. I keep a journal. I write about what life might be like someday, when things are different. Not rich, just enough. Enough to breathe. I cope by clinging to small joys. Sunlight through the window in the morning. Free concerts at the park. Used books from the thrift store. A good cup of coffee when I can afford it. Texts from my best friend. Late night walks when the air is cool and no one's asking anything of me. These moments are what keep me going. Not big dreams anymore, those I've tucked away for later, but the little things that remind me I'm still human. Still here. I don't know what the future holds. I don't trust it like I used to. But I do know that I'm not alone. More and more, I talk to friends who feel the same. Who are drowning in rent, debt, exhaustion. We vent, we laugh, we cry sometimes. It helps. Even if we can't fix it, we can at least say it out loud. There's power in that. So yeah, I'm broke. I'm tired. I'm scared sometimes. But I'm also still trying. And in this world, in this system designed to break people like me, maybe trying is its own quiet form of resistance. Every morning, the first thing I do is check my bank account, and every morning I regret it. I scroll past the same numbers: $37.16 in checking, $84.02 in savings, and feel that familiar punch in the gut. Rent's due next week, the electric bill just posted, and I'm still waiting on my second job's paycheck, which might as well be a rumor at this point. I'm 27, college-educated, working 2 jobs, and still broke. It's like running on a treadmill set to incline while someone throws weights at you. I live in a small apartment I share with 2 roommates. Our kitchen sink leaks, we have exactly one pan that doesn't burn everything, and if more than one person showers in an hour, the water goes cold. But it's affordable for this city, which really means it hasn't doubled in price, yet. My days are a cycle of grinding and budgeting. I work 9 to 5 at a marketing firm. It sounds fancier than it is. I write content for small businesses, blog posts, ad blurbs, SEO crap that I once thought was temporary while I looked for a real job. After hours, I deliver groceries 3 nights a week and all weekend. That gig used to be flexible. Now it's just a requirement if I want to afford groceries of my own. When I was younger, I thought that working hard meant you'd eventually be comfortable. That's what everyone told me. Study hard, go to college, take internships. So I did. I graduated with honors, with $63,000 in student loans that now feel like a joke. A cruel one. The kind where the punchline is, you thought this would set you free? Everything costs more now: eggs, rent, gas, medicine. But my paychecks haven't budged. Inflation doesn't mean prices go up once and stop. They keep climbing. It's like watching someone slowly lift the ladder you're trying to climb. I used to treat myself to a coffee shop visit once a week, just to feel human. That's gone now. I drink instant coffee at home and tell myself it's just as good. It's not. I can't remember the last time I didn't feel tired. Not just physically, but this deep soul weariness, like I'm constantly trying to stay one step ahead of a wave that's going to crash over me anyway. My friends and I joke about our poverty brains, how we all know which store has eggs for a few cents less, or how long we can stretch a bottle of shampoo. We send each other memes about skipping therapy because it costs as much as groceries, and we laugh. Because if we didn't, we'd probably cry. I used to dream of moving to another city, maybe Portland or Austin, places that felt alive and weird and full of art. I wanted to travel, maybe write a book, or at least find work that didn't hollow me out. But now? I just dream of stability. Of not being terrified when a tire goes flat or my phone glitches. Of buying my parents a gift without worrying if it'll overdraft me. My world has shrunk to the size of what I can survive each month. Dating feels impossible. I can't afford to go out, and when I do, I feel like I'm pretending. Pretending to be someone who's got it together, who isn't haunted by the sound of an overdue bill notification. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to be able to relax on a Sunday without calculating if I'll have enough gas to get to work on Tuesday. Coping is its own job. I journal. I run, when I have the energy. I talk to friends, the ones who understand because they're in it too. We hold each other up, make jokes, vent, send each other cheap recipes. That helps more than anything. Knowing I'm not alone. But it doesn't fix it. What scares me most is how normal this has become. How easy it is to forget that life isn't supposed to feel like this. I didn't grow up rich, but I grew up believing in possibility. That's what's eroding now. Possibility. That sense that something better is coming if you just hold on. It's been years of holding on. Years of maybe next year, and once I pay this off, and when the raise comes. But it never really does. It's always just out of reach. I still want things. I still dream. But the dreams are quieter now. Smaller. Less about thriving and more about not drowning. Some days I imagine a future where I can breathe, maybe own a place, plant a garden, have a dog. The fact that those feel like luxuries makes me sad in a way I can't always explain. I'm not lazy. I'm not irresponsible. I'm just trying to survive a system that wasn't built for people like me to win. A system where everything costs more and more, and the only thing that stays the same is the pressure. Still, I get up every day. I work. I budget. I hope, because I have to. Because if I let that go, I'm not sure what's left. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos. Also, leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.